Welcome to our post-Emmy nomination announcement slugfest. I'm here with senior editors Marcus Dixon, Denton Davidson, and Daniel Montgomery. I'm Ray Richmond, news and features editor. And it's been quite a morning already. The usual number of snubs and surprises, as well as predictable elements. But gentlemen, let's start off by discussing what our favorite nomination was. Each of you, Marcus, what was yours?
I have to say, when they named Survivor as best competition program,
yeah.
I'm like, that's crazy. It's been a few years since it's been nominated. I looked back, it's been way more than a few years. 17 years ago, Survivor was last nominated in this category. So that I think that's my favorite nomination because it's so surprising and so deserving this season with the Tika 3. Everyone was obsessed with Carolyn Carson and Jam Jam. So very well deserved nomination for Survivor.
For a second, I thought they were going to say Probst too. I was like, maybe, but
Yeah, I did make sure to look.
no luck for Probst.
Denton, how about you? What's your favorite?
Theo James for the White Lotus, because I had advocated for him in our last slugfest and I predicted him with 100-to-1 odds. So I really cashed in on his nomination and I'm happy to see that. I always love the winking devil in a show, and I think he was fantastic. They did very well in that drama supporting actor category. They have 4 of them. So they really overperformed for supporting actor and all the supporting categories like they did last year.
And they have 5 supporting actresses.
Wow. How about you, Daniel? What's your favorite nomination?
Well, my favorite 3 nominations are Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us, Pedro Pascal for Saturday Night Live, and Pedro Pascal for Patagonia. I've been predicting him to win Best Drama Actor for a while, and I thought when the nominations come out, I'll probably switch to Kieran Culkin, like everyone else is on that bandwagon. But now I might stick with Pedro Pascal. Like, obviously, the performance branch of the Academy really likes him. They absolutely adored The Last of Us. Got 24 nominations total, including a bunch of guest actors. So yeah, I was really glad to see that the internet's ultimate crush of 2023 has a trio of Emmy nominations to speak for now.
Well, my favorite was entirely predictably Jury Duty for a comedy series. I know it also got James Marsden a nomination for supporting comedy actor, and I think it got in for writing and for casting. It's so great because I'd been calling for this all along. I was doing stories saying this is my Andrea Riseborough prediction of the year, and it actually happened.
I was hoping it would happen because it's one of my top shows of the year, but I didn't have faith that the Emmy voters would find it. But I was wrong.
I think they found it because of because it went viral, because it was all over TikTok. And it was sort of like, well, the kids are really embracing this. Maybe we better embrace it too.
Well, we should have known when Pete Hammond was in a slugfest with us a couple weeks ago, and he's an Emmy voter, and he was gushing about Jury Duty. So maybe that should have been a little tea leaf. We should have listened to Pete's.
James Marsden has to just be completely shocked. He was like, I can't even believe I got into this show. It was so bizarre, and and I had to stay in character for 2 weeks during this mock trial. And this is the thing that puts him over the hump as a famous actor now.
He can really win that too, that category.
Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be so cool. Yeah. Well, let's see. So let's maybe just let's be a little free form here, much like Jury Duty itself, and sort of run through the categories. What's any other surprises there? We surprised to see Wednesday get nominated in lieu of Poker Face and in lieu of Shrinking.
I wasn't surprised. I feel like we sort of let it slip. It was in our top 7 or 8 for a long time, and then our odds sort of began shifting towards Poker Face and Shrinking, and people were wondering if the TV Academy would respond to Wednesday or if it was more of a teenagers show. So I think that's sort of a misstep on our part. I definitely am upset that I dropped that, and I dropped Ortega from comedy actress, and then I lost 2 points. So
Same.
it's a bummer.
We should have been tipped off by the fact that these were coming out on Wednesday.
Ah,
I mean, come
know.
on.
And it was like the second most watched Netflix series ever after Stranger Things. So
Yeah.
foolish.
I got totally on the Poker Face train, even though it was it's a Peacock show, and thought, well, Natasha Lyonne is carrying this to greatness, but it turned out it was only Natasha Lyonne that got honored from
hmm.
there.
And back to Wednesday, Tim Burton also got a nomination for directing, and this appears to be his very first Emmy nomination ever.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have the list of what shows got the most nominations. Should I say that really fast?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Marcus.
Wednesday got 12. Above that is Monster and Beef and The Bear. They each got 13. And then above that, Mrs. Maisel got 14. And then Ted Lasso got 21. That's the most for any comedy series, Ted Lasso.
And the most Ted Lasso has ever gotten in a single season, even though the third season was, it's the Game of Thrones effect.
So if you think Ted Lasso's weak, you better.
No,
be
I was
careful.
totally wrong about Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso's winning best comedy.
And the
Did
record.
it? Oh, no, I was
record-
just going to say, is that the most ever for any show? For any comedy, 21, or
The
just this
record's
year?
30 Rock with 22, so it's one behind.
Mhm.
Very impressive. And then above that, we have 3 HBO shows leading the pack: Succession 27, The Last of Us 24, The White Lotus 23. So if you're HBO, you're having a very good day today.
For all the talk about streaming taking over, HBO continues to be the gold standard. And it's been that way for probably 25 years. So they're doing something right over there.
And it's a strong case to be made for like appointment television, because those were all shows that were, the old fashioned kind of water cooler shows that, aired one episode per week. And sort of everyone was talking about it that night and the morning after. Those are your 3 shows of the year for that: Succession, Last of Us, and White Lotus. So
I still think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I wonder if more streamers are going to adopt the weekly rollout now after seeing this.
Mrs. Maisel, didn't it used to be a show that premiered everything at once, and now the new season was once a week, or the final season, I should say.
Yeah, do we yet know if Ted Lasso, if this is the last season? I mean, they've been so cagey about that.
I have a feeling it's coming back without Jason Sudeikis, but that's just my own, uninformed opinion.
Yeah, I think
maybe
they
they'll
sort of
do
want
like,
their cake and eat it too.
Maybe they'll do like The Closer did. Like once Kira Sedgwick left, they sort of made it a new show, but the same show with Mary McDonnell, and turned it into Major Crimes. So maybe it'll be the same show, but a different title, obviously, because you don't have the title character.
The Richmond Way.
So let's talk about maybe snubs for a second. I think is the biggest shock that Harrison Ford was shut out twice.
I'm so disappointed. I thought he would at least get one for Shrinking.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone really thought for sure he would get in for 1923. I mean, that was far-fetched, but it was a possibility. But most people thought he was going to get in for Shrinking.
That it was just a given. It was like a lock, right?
And very odd, because Jason Segel and Jessica Williams both got in, and then they leave Harrison out, and then it didn't get nominated for Best Comedy either.
You talk about going from the penthouse, man, to the basement. Here's a guy. He's got 2 Emmy nominations potentially, ready to take bows for. And Indiana Jones. Now Indiana Jones is a flop and he gets no Emmy nominations. So boy, that's showbiz for you.
Yeah, I was predicting that Harrison Ford wouldn't get nominated for Shrinking, but I wasn't predicting Shrinking for actor or supporting actress either. If you told me that Segel and Williams were going to get in, I would have assumed that Harrison Ford would have been a lock.
Me too. But I'm so happy for Williams. I mean, she gave one of the best performances of the year, and I just thought, maybe maybe she'll be forgotten. This
She's
is a
fabulous.
category, and she got in. And you have a stat, right, Ray, with the supporting actress in a comedy category?
Yeah, supporting actresses in a comedy. This is the first time in any Emmy category that there have been 4 women of color, four African American actresses that were nominated, with Io Adebari, Janelle James, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and Jessica, which is pretty great.
And no huge surprise in snubs there. I mean, the closest that missed was Sarah Goldberg for Barry, who has been snubbed before, and Lisa Ann Walter for Abbott Elementary, who a lot of people were hoping would get in this time, but she's used to being snubbed as well.
I wonder who the 8th one was, because the last year there was 8, and there's only 7 this year because of not as many submissions. But I wonder who that would have been. Probably Sarah Goldberg.
Yeah, I would guess Sarah Goldberg. I don't think Abbott Elementary did well enough for Lisa Ann Walter to have necessarily been on the bubble, although it's possible. I really wish they had gone, to 8 and 6 for lead acting. It's really a shame that they kind of robbed someone of a nomination in both cases, because they came just short of the submissions total.
And speaking of Abbott, no writing and no directing. That is quite a fall from grace, because they won writing.
That's right. Yeah, Quinta won for writing last year, right?
I don't imagine a lot of people are going to be predicting Abbott to win comedy series.
And that makes me question Best Comedy Actress now.
Yeah, agreed.
That could be totally up in the air.
Yeah, this reminds me of Blackish, where I sort of thought, well, that show was primed for a couple of seasons, earlier in its run for a big breakthrough at the Emmys, and then it just never happened. It just kind of stalled in one place with a few nominations for its lead actors and for series a couple times, but it never really expanded beyond that. And here we have Abbott, expanding technically, because it got 8 nominations instead of 7 last year, but then it contracted in the most important way, which is missing that writing nomination. So with no writing or directing nominations and such a small nominations total, I'm going to admit that I was wrong. I thought we'd see a big expansion for Abbott this year. And yeah, I don't see it happening for comedy series now, which is a big surprise for me.
Yeah,
interesting category, because so we have Christina Applegate for Dead to Me, which did not do well as a series overall, and then Rachel Brosnahan, who's won before. This is the final season. I mean, she could get a bookend for that, and then Quinta, who we just spoke about, who might be weakened by the fact that they're not nominated for writing or directing, and then Natasha Lyonne, Poker Face, underperformed, and then Jenna Ortega. Maybe she's again gonna surprise everybody. Maybe we've totally underestimated Wednesday, because Wednesday didn't do too bad.
Yeah, Wednesday and Maisel are the 2 most nominated comedies in the lead actress category. So it'll be
very interesting.
And both are nominated for the top award, Best Comedy Series.
Just to shift to guest actor in a comedy for a second, I think that category probably had the Bears rollout of season 2, when they rolled out, probably had the biggest impact on that category than any other one, where you had John Bernthal and Oliver Platt getting in.
I thought the exact same thing. Yeah,
John Bernthal's part was very small in season 1, like
exactly,
almost non-existent. Like he was barely there.
I feel like that nomination was for episode 7 of season 2.
Yeah,
and conversely, we have Only Murders not airing during voting, and it really didn't do as well as last year. I mean, who was not predicting Steve Martin to get nominated? I actually had the opposite. I was not predicting Martin Short to get nominated.
Right.
So I thought one would get in, but I picked the wrong one.
Yeah, I think everybody would have picked, if there was going to be one, it had to be Steve. But
I had both.
That's horse racing. Should we?
Or Steve Martin snubbed across the board. He didn't get in for SNL co-hosting with Martin Short. He didn't get in for his original song for Only Murders in the Building. So it was really, really unfortunate for him on this.
And no Selena Gomez either.
No Selena Gomez.
Yeah. In terms of drama series, maybe shift there for a sec. We got all of those at Gold Derby, all 8. We were 8 for 8. Even though
Personally,
it's
I didn't get 8. I thought Handmaid's Tale might get in over Andor, but Andor did really well getting writing and directing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
doubled down on Handmaid's Tale too with drama series and Elizabeth Moss, but at least I got one correct. Elizabeth did get in.
Yeah, the sole nomination for Handmaid's Tale.
That's
Wait,
crazy.
it only got one?
Only got one.
I didn't
I was
know
glad
that.
to see Kerry Russell get in for and that was to my mind fairly predictable for the diplomat. She's so good. I mean, being good has to make a difference. You know, just like it
Occasionally.
did for Jessica Williams, same thing. You know, when you're
Airing
that
on
good,
HBO also helps. Specifically at 9 p.m. on Sundays. Basically, in that time slot, you know, that's when Emmy voters were watching television, and at no other times during the year.
yep.
Imelda
I think,
Staunton for The Crown snubbed for Best
yeah, totally.
Actress. She was the top ranked actress who did not get in. And then also Emma Darcy for House of the Dragon, Helen Mirren 1923, and Juliette Lewis for Yellow Jackets. Those were the top drama actress snubs.
I mean, speaking of The Crown, it only got 6 nominations this year. And remember, last time it was eligible, it won 7 just at the primetime ceremony. Oh, wait. Yeah, right. It won everything at the primetime. It won series, for acting, writing, and directing. So I mean, what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, out of sight, out of mind, maybe. This last season wasn't quite as big a sensation as the first Princess Diana season, and then it kind of lost its thunder to the HBO trio, White Lotus, Last of Us, and Succession, which just kind of dominated the TV conversation for the last 12 months.
I'm a little surprised that Bad Sisters missed, because Yellow Jackets didn't do well outside of series and Melanie Linsky, but Bad Sisters got in for Best Drama Actress for Sharon Horgan, writing and directing.
And casting.
And then it missed drama series. It's very weird.
Yeah, sometimes that happens where a show will get in for writing and directing and maybe even win both and then not even get series. I think that happened with Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, My Name is Earl, that happened too with its pilot too.
Christina Ricci missed too for Yellow Jackets.
That's right.
The category is just dominated by the White Lotus.
And they
I
they changed the Emmy rules to make it so this didn't happen, and it happened.
Change them back. or do something else. Maybe like some sort of panel to, that may be a bad idea, because nomination review committees kind of really got really shady with the Grammys. So I don't know if that would really help the Emmys. I just think there's too much TV, so that everyone's attention is splintered in so many different directions, that when you have like 3 shows maybe during the year that everyone seems to be watching, they're just going to get all the nominations.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
I don't know how to fix that.
It didn't make a difference, though. I mean, last year was just as bad. The White Lotus got like 7 out of 8 supporting actress nominees. I don't think it makes a difference, because I think no matter if you're voting for 5 people or you can check off as many as you want, if people are only watching,
it was a little worse this year. It was a little worse this year because we got situations this year where there are 2 shows in 8 slots for supporting actor in a drama series, just for the White Lotus, for Succession, no one else. And in the guest acting categories,
that, by the way, you predicted.
I called it as a possibility. I didn't think it was actually going to happen. And with the guest acting categories, 12 slots across the guest acting categories, 2 shows, Succession, Last of Us. So
that's crazy.
It's insane. It doesn't make, as much as I'm really happy for those Last of Us actors who did get in, because a couple of them weren't obvious choices.
Storm Reid, we didn't have her. She was a
great nomination, but at the same time, like those 2 shows weren't the only shows with guest actors this year. I mean, come on.
I'm also just realizing that Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, and Betsy Brandt, who we all thought would get in in the
None of
guest
them.
categories. None of them got in.
No, I was shocked that Bryan Cranston didn't.
Hmm.
Carol Burnett didn't get in either.
No,
But Ray
not a lot of
Seaborn
sentiment
did.
this time.
Ray
No
Seaborn did.
Giancarlo Esposito
Which is
either.
good for
No
Ray.
supporting actors.
You know, with all this, oh, never mind. I forgot about Jennifer Coolidge. I was like, with all this White Lotus split vote, but she can still win that with everyone else from her show. But if not for Jennifer Coolidge, I would say, I mean, maybe even still, Ray Seahorn could pull off a surprise.
I think I'll put Seahorn in second place. I mean, it is possible. I wouldn't be surprised.
She would be my second place as well. I think she has some chance.
And
I don't
J.
think
Smith
anyone
Cameron
else.
too.
I don't think anyone else has a chance.
If Succession sweeps, though, J. Smith Cameron could pull it off.
I'm skeptical of a Succession sweep, and I kind of agree with Daniel now about drama actor. I mean, I don't know that Pedro Pascal can't win that when I'm looking at this and how, most fans are saying, oh, of course it's Kieran, but he's been so disrespected by the Academy. I don't know that that's true. We thought he would win supporting actor before, and now he's in lead. I'm not certain that's going to happen.
I know I'm not sure of this being a Succession sweep here. I mean, it looks like, the wealth is pretty well spread in the nominations between Last of Us, White Lotus, and Succession. It's not just Succession dominating everything. And yeah, you just I feel like the wealth is going to be pretty well spread this year. I don't think any one show is going to dominate.
I didn't
One
think The
piece
Last
of-
of Us would do that well.
Yeah, me neither.
And I had Pedro predicted, but I didn't think it would, because I was just skeptical because of The Walking Dead and zombies. I just thought, they're not gonna go for it, but they really did, and I'm happy. It's a great show, and of course that one episode with Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett is in both for writing and directing. Well deserved. I think Nick Offerman's going to win that, and because of those, I think that episode could win a writing or directing award.
Yeah, it could win directing. Yeah, I think the fact that Succession only has the one nomination for writing, I think it's gonna just steamroll there. But directing, Succession has 3, so I think Last of Us could potentially sneak in there. One good thing I was going to mention about the White Lotus Last of Us domination is that we're going to get a Parks and Rec reunion at the Emmys, because Aubrey Plaza gets her first acting nomination, Nick Offerman gets his first acting nomination, and Amy Poehler's nominated for reality host. So it's going to be, they should celebrate together somewhere.
I wrote that article several months ago. I need to update it now that you've just reminded me.
So,
what are the nomination totals for Succession and The White Lotus again?
Succession 27 and White Lotus 23.
I'm just curious, if we really know that they're going to like Succession more than The White Lotus, because we saw how much they loved The White Lotus as a limited series. This is the first time they're going head to head. So I'm just,
and a
about that in
lot
my
of
head. Could Mike White pull that off? They love Mike White.
a lot of the fire from Succession is probably cooled a little bit now. Now that it's been a few months, so it's not water cooler chatter anymore. Now it's really just going to be a head-to-head battle.
And Arrivederci is a formidable episode. It really,
I'm looking at the casting for a drama series, and sometimes whatever wins the series race, and both shows are in there, but White Lotus has a huge advantage in casting because they recast the whole thing. So don't be surprised if White Lotus wins casting and then does not win series. Maybe the series will go to Succession.
Yeah, if Succession wins casting, it's game over.
Yeah, that is a great
White
point.
Lotus.
Yeah. Should we look at limited and TV movie those categories? I think limited. I guess the big surprise was Blackbird missing the cut and Obi-Wan Kenobi getting in at 100-1 on our odds.
I did not see that.
Was that a shock?
Yes.
That was a shock.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Oh, and no Small Light, no George and Tammy, no Love and Death.
No Small Light really pisses me off. I just, Uh,
And it's
I'm not
When
weird
I
because
gonna,
it's
saw
not like
Obi-Wan
they.
Kenobi get in, I thought Ewan McGregor would get in. I was like, oh, this is so that's a weird
It is.
split as
It's a
well.
very weird nomination with only 5 slots for best limited series. It's not like they loved Obi-Wan Kenobi. It only got 5 total nominations, and the other ones are all in those craft categories you'd expect for a Star Wars series: costumes, editing, sound, editing and mixing. So like it didn't really blow Academy voters away, and yet it still beat some of those other shows for a limited series nomination.
There must
I,
have been such a split. Blackbird must just be too old. I mean, they just must have. I mean, because that's been consistently receiving nominations and winning awards. I mean, Paul Walter Hauser sort of dominated the early award season for that show, and it didn't. I was shocked that was snubbed, and then George and Tammy didn't get in, and Love and Death was another one that missed out. No Elizabeth Olsen, Emily Blunt, Rachel Weisz, Belle
yeah,
Powell, Sydney
all of them
Sweeney.
passed over, and no Bell Powley, no Liev Schreiber for A Small Light completely shut out.
Those are some of my last minute changes I did. I added a small light to all those major categories, and I got screwed over.
Same.
That was not predictable.
I wasn't predicting Jesse Eisenberg to get in for Fleischman, but it was interesting that that series got in, and then Claire and Lizzie got in, but they still snubbed Jesse, who's
By the
really
way,
great in the show. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me why they would snub him.
I was a little surprised to see Lizzie make the cut. Not you know, not Claire, of course, but yeah, but Lizzie Kaplan. She was a constant presence in it and was strong, but not as strong as Jesse.
I kind of want to mention the renaissance of the TV movie. We have in the writing category,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
6 slots. 3 of the 6 go to TV movies. We have Fire Island, we have Prey, and we have Weird. And I don't remember the last time. It must be at least a decade since the writing category has been split like that, 3 limited, 3 TV movies. And Prey also
have to
got a
check.
directing nomination.
Yeah, I said before that Weird was like a slam dunk. I'm like, Prey's never gonna win. And now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said that because
Prey got directing and Weird did not, but I don't think that's going to influence me. I'm going to keep predicting Weird because Daniel Radcliffe got in.
And Weird got casting, which I don't think Prey did. But yeah, this is last year, to put it in perspective, last year, of the 5 nominations for Best TV Movie, 4 of them had no other nominations. And only one of them had an extra nomination, and that was Zoe's Extraordinary Christmas, which only had an extra choreography nomination. In this case, Weird Al Yankovic, the Weird Al Yankovic Story, 8 nominations. Prey, 6 nominations. Hocus Pocus 2 got 3 nominations. Like
it did?
Yeah, it's nominated for costumes and music composition. So
I love it.
It's I like this because since there's so much more TV, so much more movies going directly to streaming instead of into theaters, there's so much opportunity for there to be genuinely really good TV movies now. Even though a lot of them are like TV movies that maybe weren't fit for the big screen and they just kind of like shoved off on the streaming services. But yeah, it's nice to see this mini renaissance, although no nominations for Do Revenge, and I am just apoplectic.
I was a little surprised Daisy Jones and the Six got in. I mean, there was many people predicting it, but I was not one of them. I wasn't seeing. The buzz flew over my head for that show. So for that to get in, I was a little surprised. But I should have mentioned earlier for my favorite nomination is I was very excited that Dominique Fishback actually was nominated for Swarm. I wasn't sure she would be, but I was predicting it, predicting it, and that's one of my favorite predictions that came true.
Yvette Nicole Brown was also excited. Did you just see when she read her name, she was like cheering.
She did that for a few people.
I just noticed The Patient got completely shut out.
Yeah, 0 nominations for The Patient.
Yeah, no Steve Carell.
No
One of
Gleason.
my favorite programs of the last like year, and it just goes to show there's some shows that they just didn't watch, or like just not enough people watched, and
Mhm.
if you didn't get that threshold of just enough people watching you, you're not only going to underperform, you're going to get either shut out or get like one nomination in the like below the line, like Small Light getting music composition, Dead Ringers only getting in cinematography. It's just feast or famine.
Yeah,
I think
and
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, usually the voters go. It's almost automatic if you're an Oscar nominee that you're probably going to make the cut. But no Olivia Colman this time for Great
Mm.
Expectations. No Rachel Weisz for Dead Ringers. Um, uh, Big names seem to take it on the chin in many categories this time.
But Beef, I was gonna say, appears to have hit where it needs to. I think Beef
Mhm.
is the front runner here at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's still Monster did well as well, Jeffrey Dahmer story, but I still have Beef as the front runner here. And Welcome to Chippendales overperformed what a lot of people were
Way overperformed.
Yeah, so we've got Kumail Nanjiani, Murray Bartlett, and Annalie Ashford all nominated for Welcome to Chippendales.
And Juliette Lewis, missed for
And-
Yellow Jackets, but gets in for Welcome to
And Juliette
Chippendales.
Lewis, right.
And the thing
I
about
agree. Beef
Kumail-
is probably out front. I think the one thing that tells me that Beef is out front is that even though it and Monster had the same number of nominations, Monster, if you'll notice, missed writing entirely.
yeah,
So
That's-
Beef got in writing and directing.
that's a little shocking. And they both got 2 directings, which is interesting. And how many actors got in for Beef? It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
So 5. So everyone I was predicting except poor Ashley Park, I was also predicting her. But I mean, 5, nothing to,
No, that's pretty good.
beat that.
I didn't have her on my list, so I don't like it. She wasn't necessarily a surprise. She was sort of expected, but let me see.
I really hope Niecy Nash wins that category, that supporting actress.
I think Nishi's still the favorite.
I don't know.
I
think it's going to be close. Fleischman did better than I expected with getting Lizzie Kaplan in, getting the series in, not just the series, but I think it's up for writing and directing. So that's a show that they're paying attention to, and we know how much they love Claire Danes. So I think that's much more of a battle than I would have expected before the nominations.
But if there's anything that's like lovable and makes you feel good about Monster, it's Niecy and her role. I mean, it's the only thing that like
she's so sympathetic.
Gives you any hope for the world.
She was the bright light.
And then Tiny Beautiful Things, a couple nominations that were a surprise that I was worried about because that show has gotten great reviews. So we underestimated Hulu a little bit here. Merritt Weaver and Kathryn Hahn both nominated for Tiny Beautiful Things.
I had them both in my predictions at some point during the season, and over the course of the season, they just fell out.
If only that counted toward your score.
If only.
As long as Dolly Parton's Magic Mountain Christmas wins, I'm happy. No.
I mean, it's won before.
No reality, though, in TV movie.
Right.
There were no surprises in like Variety, all the same talk shows, all the same sketch shows, Saturday Night Black Lady sketch show, John Oliver, every late night show that exists got some sort of nomination. So
reality competition, other than Survivor, everything else has won before. So it's 4 winners versus Survivor. Reality host RuPaul. I think RuPaul's won 7 in a row. Would be interesting to see if
that show has won like 26 of them or something. Won like an insane number of them in 5-6 years.
I can't imagine.
It's the most awarded reality competition show of all time.
Didn't Padma just announce she's done? So maybe that'll give her a little bit of a boost. Maybe that'll bump her up to 2nd place for me.
Maybe. And then
although Amy Poehler and Maya Rudolph, just that name recognition is
right. But are they watching Baking It? Let me see.
No, they probably didn't watch it they probably didn't watch it to nominate. They saw Amy and Maya on the ballot. It's like, I like them. They're probably
that's why I predicted them. I haven't seen it. It's probably funny and great. But I just saw those names. I'm like, just like Dolly Parton's Magic Mountain Christmas. It's like those are some names. If it's in the right category, it's like you just can't deny it.
Nicole
Yeah.
Byers is up again, but she's the only nomination for Nailed It this year.
So should we start wrapping here? Do we think we're good, gentlemen?
Yeah, interesting nominees. I'm still like digesting all of it.
I know.
I feel like I'm still unaware of who all the nominees are. So
I learned some things listening to you guys. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that got nominated.
yeah. Once you go in now to make your Emmy predictions, because the predictions, is it already up? It might be. If not, it will be very soon. And once you see all those shortened lists, it's much more manageable to make your predictions for the actual awards than the nominations. So you'll see those nominees and it sort of hits you when you see them in your face again. It's like, oh, wow, like
Yeah, right.
people are missing.
So everybody get in there and vote for your favorites. With the Emmys are scheduled for September 18th, and hopefully, barring a continuation of the writer's strike, they will go on as scheduled September 18th.
Or the
And also-
commencement of the actors' strike, potentially.
And also
there's
go
that
vote
too.
in our Gold Derby TV awards.
Mhm.
Yes, please. Okay, for Marcus Dixon, Denton Davidson, and Daniel Montgomery, I'm Ray Richmond. Thank you for watching, and take care, and happy Emmy nomination day to all.